Hello again, welcome to another look at the weekend, next week's weather, and it's of course as usual courtesy of Netweather.tv and naturally me, Michael Fish. Actually, talking about me, Michael Fish, a couple of interesting celebrations in the next day or two, so I hope you don't forget. First of all, on Friday it's my birthday. Yes, hooray. And I'm 20. Yeah, that's my age. It's in Celsius, of course, that's why it's a little bit younger than I really am, but I like to call myself 20. And another important anniversary is on Saturday, which is actually the 40th anniversary of my first broadcast on the BBC. I started first of all on the radio, so that was Radio 4 or whatever it was called in 1972, and then progressed 18 months or so later onto the television, where I have been ever since, and still am if you live in Kent, Surrey or Sussex. Anyhow, weather-wise, the drought goes on. We've had some very large totals of rain recently, more than a month's average in places, and it looks as if it's going to continue raining in the next few days. In fact, some very heavy rain to come in a number of spots. Now, the recent active area of low pressure that's given all the rain and the hail and the thunder and all the rest of it is slipping fast away northeastwards at the moment, in towards Scandinavia, and for a time a little bit of a high pressure area is moving across the north and quietening things down. But it isn't going to last long, because a very unusual development will be taking place. An area of low pressure will form over Spain, deepening quite rapidly as it moves northwards towards Biscay and perhaps then northeastwards towards the southwestern corner of the country. And it's quite unusual for areas of low pressure to deepen and move in that direction. It's getting a lot of its energy from the large temperature difference between the British Isles and parts of the continent, where there's about a 15 degrees Celsius difference. It's well, at least it will be very warm and humid over the continent, say parts of Germany, whereas it'll be cool and miserable over the British Isles. Now, as that low moves up towards us, it's going to push a band of quite heavy rain up towards the south of the country, and then eventually it'll move away southeastwards and out of the way, which will allow another change to begin to take place. It will allow at long last high pressure to start to build across the UK, and it'll move into Scandinavia and then eventually introduce some warmer southeasterly winds. Although as far as the south of the country is concerned, low pressure will never be very far away. If we have a look at the temperature of the atmosphere, you see that at the moment we've got pretty cool air over the British Isles, green colour, even a bit of blue there, so some of the showery bursts of rain have been falling as snow over the higher hills. And you notice too how there's very warm air, even hot air over parts of Europe, orange and even some red there. And it's that difference that will spin up that area of low pressure, or at least give it some of the energy. Eventually though, the cold pool will drift southwards, and that will allow the warm air to spread in from the east, and you see we begin to get the yellowy colours coming in from the east and across the British Isles, with corresponding rise in temperature later on in the week. Let's have a look too at the wind barbs, because it is going to be a particularly windy spell for a time over the weekend, at the beginning of next week, as that area of low pressure develops and squeezes the isobars and moves up towards us. So we're looking at the period from the middle of Saturday through to the end of Sunday, and you notice there will be gales or severe gales in places. So on a day-to-day basis, let's have a look at the forecast for Friday. First of all, basically a day of showers or longer outbreaks of rain. Having said that, there'll be some more persistent rain across southern Scotland, northern England, Northern Ireland and Wales, where it will eventually become brighter as the rain turns rather more showery, and those showers will be wintry over the hills. At the same time, the winds will ease down a little bit, and it's going to be quite cool in those areas. Elsewhere, it's a standard April showers day of cloud bubbling up, showers developing, some of them heavy with hail and thunder. Although the extreme southeastern corner of the country, which is my parish, Kent, maybe parts of East Sussex, missing the worst of showers, possibly having a reasonable day. For Saturday, it looks as if Scotland will be fine and bright after some early frost, whereas the more central areas of the country will have some rain in places. Again, this turning brighter and showery as time goes on. Southern parts will be dry at first, but as the day wears on, so the wind will pick up quite dramatically and rain will spread from the south, and some of that rain is going to be heavy. And right towards the end of the day, those westerly winds will have picked up to gale force, even severe gale force, and those strong winds together with the heavy rain which will be falling by then means it'll feel pretty cold. On Sunday, still rain and gales around across the south of the country, still the rain heavy at times, and continuing to move northwards so that it eventually reach Northern Ireland and southern parts of Scotland, although it'll become a lot lighter and start to fizzle out as it does so. The northernmost part of Scotland will stay out of trouble and remain dry and bright. Of course, as the rain moves up north, so it will allow some parts of the country, more particularly the southeast of England, to become brighter, although I think the southwestern corner of England, near to the area of low pressure, will stay wet and windy for most of the time. Obviously, in those areas, the wet and windy ones, it'll feel quite cold, but when the sun comes through and it brightens up in the southeast, it may well actually turn out to be rather warm. Now, some events taking place over the weekend. We have, first of all, the Harrogate Spring Flower Show, which takes place from Thursday through to Friday. Not, of course, ideal weather at all. There's been a lot of rain around. I just hope and pray they haven't had some of these hailstorms and hail showers that we've had in the London area, because that will have really damaged the plants and the displays. And even the heavy rain can't have done much good either. But they will, of course, get some drier and brighter interludes in between the showery bursts. Another event taking place on Sunday is the Malden Mud Race. Now, that is going to be absolutely ideal conditions, because it's going to be pouring with rain on Sunday, absolute torrential rain. So that's going to give them a load of mud for them to wallow in and enjoy themselves. Back now to the day-to-day forecast. As far as Monday is concerned, it looks as if eastern parts of England will have a dry and bright day, although there is a chance of some thundery showers moving up from France late on in the day. Wales and the southwest of England, together with Scotland, Northern Ireland and northwest of England, will have some breezy conditions, still with some outbreaks of rain, although the wind will ease and the outbreaks of rain will slowly die out as the day goes on. Temperatures near normal, perhaps even rather warm in the brighter parts of eastern England. Now, there is some uncertainty about that thundery rain. If it does crop up, it'll still be around on Tuesday, and it'll be moving westwards across the more southern and central parts of England and Wales, and eventually into Ireland. But as I say, it's all a little bit speculative. It all depends on how deep that low becomes and the exact track it takes. There still will be some strong easterly winds though across Scotland, but I think for Scotland that's the best of the weather. It'll be dry and bright, best sunshine in the west. Now, on Wednesday, we're beginning to see a little bit of a note of optimism, because high pressure will start to build at long last, and that means to say that at least central and northern parts of the country will become fine and dry and warm. But there is still a risk of some thundery showers and other burst showers across the more southern parts of Britain, more particularly the southeastern corner. Well, I'll be back again this time next week, by which time hopefully the monsoon will have finished, the drought will have been alleviated a little bit, and we can perhaps lie back and enjoy some fine weather and some spring weather and some ice creams instead of freezing cold and pouring rain. Anyway, have a lovely weekend despite the weather, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.